Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Patrolman Justin Terney, Tecumseh Police Department, Oklahoma. Officer Terney had 1 year on with the Tecumseh Police Department. He was 22 years old. Now his Mama and Daddy were still alive. He had 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Now, besides doing his police work, he had been a volunteer firefighter with Shams Point Fire Department. Now, the information for this episode came from the Oklahoma Criminal Court of Appeals. It's March 26, 2017. Officer Turny performs a traffic stop on Benson Park Road there near South Cooper Drive. Now, listening to the audio, Officer Terney was a pretty sharp officer. You wouldn't know he just had a year on the way he took control and carried himself. Now, he asked the female that's driving for a driver's license. She said she doesn't have it. Now, the suspect, he's sitting in the front passenger seat. Officer Terney asked for his ID, and he says he doesn't have one. Said it was suspended, confiscated, and arrested several months earlier. So he gets their names and dates of birth. He goes back to his car and he runs their names. Now, as you might guess, the suspect, he gave a bogus name and a bogus date of birth. Now, the driver, the female, she didn't say anything while the suspect's lying. She's going to regret that later. In fact, she's going to regret it for about 25 years. So now, Officer Turny, he runs that information, and dispatcher comes back that the female driver, her license is suspended. The dispatcher said didn't have anything on that name and date of birth given by the suspect. Now, Officer Terney, he goes around to the passenger side and he asks the suspect to step out. Now, that suspect, he steps out. He's a big boy now. And oh, by the way, he's got a meth problem. So now Officer Terney's asking him for his name and trying to get a date of birth and whatnot. So this goes on for several minutes, this back and forth. Dispatcher keeps coming back with nothing on this, nothing on that. Then the dispatcher starts asking about middle names, and this goes on for several minutes. Now, it's pretty obvious that Officer Terney is thinking the suspect's lying about who he is. But now Officer Terney, he was playing it cool. He was just can't get over he's professional as he was during this stop. Now, about this time, Lieutenant, he pulls over there. And now if you watch the video, you see the suspect glance over and he sees that second squad car going by and pulling around and stopping. So now he knows that it's going to be trouble for him. Now, while all this name giving and taking's going on, the suspect, he goes over to the passenger window. He's talking to the driver. And I can tell you now, he keeps glancing back. He's already contemplating his dash to freedom. You also see him looking around for a place to run. Now, as soon as the lieutenant got his squad car stopped and started getting out, that's when the suspect took off. Ran across the road into the tree line, went over a fence and into a field. Now, Officer Terney's right behind him. Now, Officer Terney gets his taser out, tells the suspect stop or he's going to fire him up. So now he discharges the taser, doesn't have any effect. you can hear on the audio, which I've included in the description, you can hear a gun being racked, semi-automatic pistol being racked. Well, that ain't Officer Terney's. Now, I don't know if Officer Terney saw the pistol before the suspect started shooting or not. The suspect started shooting, and then Officer Terney shot back. Both fired multiple times, and both the suspect and Officer Terney are hit multiple times. Now, the lieutenant finds them out there in the field. The suspect and Officer Terney are about 4 feet apart. Now, Officer Terney keeps saying, "I've been shot in the leg." He'd also been shot in the lower abdomen area. Now, the lieutenant asked Officer Terney, said, "Did you get any shots off?" Officer Terney says, "Yeah, I shot him." Now, they're waiting on backup, and they're waiting on an ambulance. Officer Terney's got a shot to the right lower abdomen and then one to the right thigh. Suspect got hit in the scrotum, the chest, the hand, and the arm. Now, officers discovered that the 2 taser probes that Officer Terney had first fired at the suspect, they had hit the blue jeans on the backside of the suspect. They said they were of an insufficient distance between the probes for the taser to incapacitate the suspect. Now, both of them got transported to the Oklahoma University Medical Center. Officer Terney, he died. Now, the ME said Officer Terney, at first wound was a perforating through and through gunshot wound in his right thigh. The second gunshot wound to the victim's lower right abdomen, it was just above the hip, and that was the round that was the cause of death. There was no exit wound from this second gunshot wound. That bullet went through Officer Terney's handcuff case, duty belt, entered just below his Kevlar vest. The bullet severed Officer Terney's iliac vein and it lodged in his left hip. Officer Terney died from blood loss. Now, the suspect, he went on trial, and so did his little girlfriend driving the car. The girlfriend, she got 25 years for second-degree murder. Suspect, the jury found him guilty and sentenced him to death. Patrolman Justin Michael Terney. End of watch, March 27th, 2017.